analyze, analyze, analyze. So, let's talk about the word analyze. It's an interesting verb that can be both formal and informal, but often used in academic and professional contexts. In terms of part of speech, analyze is a present tense verb, which means it takes the base form in the present simple, e.g., I analyze, the s or s form for the third person singular, he, she, it analyzes, and the past and past participle forms are analyzed. In common usage, people use analyze to break down complex information into smaller parts, identify patterns, and understand relationships between different components. For example, a business might analyze sales data to predict future trends, or a scientist could analyze climate change data to understand its causes. One special note about the usage of analyze is that it can be confused with its American English counterpart, analyze, which has exactly the same meaning but uses z instead of s. In a formal university setting, an instructor might say, for this week's assignment, please analyze the historical context of the Industrial Revolution and provide a detailed breakdown of its impact on modern society. This sentence demonstrates how to use analyze in a structured academic environment where students are expected to critically evaluate information. However, if you were having a casual conversation with a friend about their favorite TV show, you might say, I've been analyzing the plot twists and I'm convinced that the main character is actually working for the villain. What do you think? Here, analyze is used in an informal setting to convey a sense of curiosity and skepticism. The focus is on exploring ideas and theories rather than presenting a formal argument. In a business context, a marketing manager might say, we need to analyze the consumer data from last quarter to understand our target audiences' preferences and adjust our advertising strategy accordingly. In this case, analyze is used to convey a sense of practical application and problem solving. The focus is on using data-driven insights to inform business decisions and drive growth. So, when we say that someone is going to look at a situation or problem very closely and carefully, breaking it down into smaller parts to try to understand what's happening and how things are connected, that's basically what analyze means. It's like taking a complicated puzzle and trying to see the whole picture by looking at all the individual pieces separately. You're not just looking at something on its own, but you're also thinking about how it fits in with other things. And when we use this skill in real life, we might be trying to figure out why something is happening or how we can make a decision that's fair and balanced. Approach, approach, approach. So, let's talk about the word approach. The part of speech for approach is a verb, which means it's an action word that shows what someone is doing or has done. In common usage, people use approach to describe how they get close to something or someone, like approaching a goal in life or approaching a new friend. It can also be used more broadly to talk about a way of thinking or feeling towards something, like having an approach to solving a problem. One thing to note is that the word approach can also have different shades of meaning depending on the context. For example, it might imply a sense of caution or wariness if someone is approaching you with some news. But if they're approaching you with a smile and an open mind, it's likely to be a more positive tone. To discuss different aspects of the word approach in various contexts. In a formal setting such as a university lecture, a professor might say, the new research approach we're going to adopt this semester will focus on a multidisciplinary approach to tackle the complex issue of climate change. This sentence uses approach to describe a method or methodology used to address a particular problem. In a casual conversation with a friend, someone might say, "I'm thinking of starting a new hobby. I'll just take an improv approach and see what happens. Maybe it'll be fun." Here, the person is using approach to indicate a way of doing something or a mindset they're adopting. It's a more relaxed and spontaneous usage. In a business context, such as a sales meeting, someone might say, "We need to take a strategic approach to expanding our customer base in emerging markets." In this case, the word approach is used to describe a systematic or deliberate method for achieving a specific goal. So you're trying to learn what this concept means. Okay, imagine you want to get better at something, like playing a sport or speaking a new language, and you realize that there's a specific way of doing things that will really help you improve. This method involves focusing on small, gradual steps, rather than trying to do everything at once. It's about setting goals for yourself, breaking them down into smaller tasks, and working towards those little victories one by one. It's often used in learning new skills or habits, like how to play a musical instrument or practice a certain way of speaking. People who use this method tend to make steady progress over time, even if it feels slow at first. Does that make sense? Area. 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 The word area is a noun, specifically a non-countable noun, which means it can't be counted like individual objects. In common usage, we use area to talk about spaces or territories that are defined by boundaries. Here are 3 example sentences using the word area with different contexts. I'm planning to attend a lecture on environmental science at the university next week, where I'll be learning about the specific area of study that deals with pollution in urban settings. My friend mentioned that he's been wanting to get into photography and is looking for tips on how to best capture images in a certain area of town known for its vibrant street art scene. As you walk through the new development, it's clear that they've divided the entire area into separate zones for residential, commercial, and recreational use. I've been working with the marketing team to identify key areas where we can target our campaign to reach more potential customers, particularly in demographics A and B. So, you're trying to learn about this concept that refers to a part of a city, town, or village with its own distinct identity and characteristics. Imagine taking a map of your neighborhood and highlighting all the streets, buildings, shops, and landmarks that make it feel like home. That's basically what we're talking about. It's a designated space within a larger community where people live, work, or play together. Similar concepts might be neighborhoods or quarters. And in some cities, you'll even hear terms like districts or precincts. The main characteristic of this concept is that it has its own unique character, often shaped by the local culture, architecture, and way of life. You'll see it used when people talk about where they're from, where they live now, or where they'd like to visit. It's a fundamental part of understanding how communities work and interact with each other.